Welcome. Good morning. I am Jenny Giddy, a member of the Worship Committee for UU Catskills. Our new minister is the Reverend Bob Janice Dillon. The Worship Committee thanks Don Critchell for help with tech hosting and Pat Hurst, our Zoom usher. As always, the committee asks that you exercise compassion for our tech helpers who make it look much easier than it is. For those on video Zoom, please set your view button to speaker view. For our service today, our pulpit guest this morning is future Unitarian Universalist minister, Julio Torres, who will talk to us about fire, earth, air, and water, and how it's influenced his spiritual progress. I would just like to note that today Julio is speaking to us from London, north of London. I'm in California and Don is in New York, thanks to the magic of Zoom and the internet. We welcome friends, guests, and members to our online service. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are welcome here. UU Catskills, we are a welcoming congregation for the LGBTQ community. We affirm that Black Lives Matter. We are a congregational affiliate of the Ulster Immigrant Defence Network, and we are active voices in the effort to address climate change. Unitarian Universalism is a liberal religious faith that carries no creed and welcomes all seekers. We are guided by 7 principles and 6 sources that encompass the many ways that we come to know and understand the world, the universe, and the divine. If you are new, we encourage you to visit our website at uucatskills.org. If you would like to be added to our mailing list, please give us your email in the chat box or online at uucatskills.org. I'd like to remind everyone that during the service, you're encouraged to stay muted. We have UUCC community circles, and in this time of the pandemic, we have been meeting outdoors. So to get connected to your group, contact the UUCC office for information. These are the contacts, and you'll find these also on our website. Coming up this week, Thursday at 7 o'clock, bedtime story and more. And our treasurer, Karma Haas, would like to remind you that if you have not fulfilled your pledge, please do so. And if you've changed your pledge for 2021 and pledge automatically, could you go online and update your automatic donation amount? A few other announcements. Do you have a story on how you came to join the UU community? The Worship Committee is seeking members who would like to share their story on how they came to join UU. A service in September will be devoted to our storytellers, either live or videotaped. Please take a moment to reflect on your story and consider sharing. And you can contact me, jenny.giddy@gmail.com. Save the date. Meet and greet our new minister, Reverend Bob, on Sunday, September the 5th. It's a UU Catskills live service at 10:30 a.m. and the picnic follows at 11:30 a.m. Bring your own food and UUCC will provide the rest. The member directory update, you'll receive an email the first week of August So please check that. And if you need to change your address or any information, contact the office. Thank you. Now we'll have the Preludes hymn from Singing the Living Tradition, the earth, the air, the fire, the water.
The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. Aye, 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 oh, aye, oh, aye, 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 oh, aye. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. Aye, aye. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. Aye, 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 oh, aye, oh, aye, 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 the earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. Aye, 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 oh, aye, oh, aye, 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 oh, aye, the earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. Aye, 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 oh, aye, oh, aye, 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 oh, aye. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. Aye, 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 oh, aye, oh, aye, 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 oh, the earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. Aye, 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 oh, aye, oh, aye, 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 oh, the earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. The earth, the air, the fire, the water, return, 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 return. Aye, 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 oh, aye, oh.
That was lovely. Now we'll light the chalice, and it will be Don Critchell who will be lighting the chalice this morning. So please join me in our chalice lighting words. We light this chalice in grateful, loving community. Even in the dark of times, may its flame light paths to courage, justice, and hope.
We light this chalice in grateful, loving community.
Even in the darkest of times,
may its flame light paths to courage, justice, and hope.
Please join me in our Unison Affirmation. May we be reminded here of our highest aspirations and inspired to bring our gifts of love to all living beings. May we know once again that we are not isolated, but connected in wonder and joy to mystery and miracle in the universe, in this community, and in each other. Now we'll have opening words from Julio.
Hi all. Today I wanted to ask you, what is core to your spirituality? What is your guiding compass morally, ethically, and in matters of reflecting on the divine, the cosmos, the interconnected web of existence, justice. Because today I'm going to talk about something which meant a lot to me, as I identified as Wiccan and neo-pagan for 6 years of my life. And it happens to be with the elements of earth, fire, air, and water. They mean quite a bit to me, and they're constant in my reflections and in my meditations. They are core to me. And so I ask, spiritually speaking, what is core to you? Thank you. And now we'll have a hymn. It's the Wordless Mountains. It's a lovely hymn, and Don will be sharing it, I believe, momentarily.
And now Julio will read us a story. The goddess dances the world awake, a creation story.
Thanks. So this was a story which originated with, I forget who the author is, but it was retold by Starhawk. So it goes as such. Long ago, before anything was, the goddess awoke alone in the vast dark and emptiness. She had as yet no name and no form, but she felt an urge to move. She stretched, She rocked, she began to dance. And whirling and twirling, she wheeled and spiraled through space. Her dance set in motion a great wind that followed her, playing catch, trying to caress her. The goddess danced with the wind, and the wind took form, becoming the god in the shape of a great serpent, Ophion. Ophion wrapped his coils around the goddess, trying to become one with her, loving her with all his being. Suddenly, the goddess felt something stirring inside her, as if her dance had come alive. Something wanted to be born. She reached out, and her arms became wings. As a giant dove, she flew aloft while Ophion coiled himself into a nest for her. She settled onto his back and laid a huge, huge egg. Ophion guarded the egg, sheltering it from below as the goddess brooded it from above. At last, the egg cracked open, and the whole universe fell out. Suns and stars and galaxies, planets and moons, and the green living earth, all spiraling and spinning, whirling and twirling through space in the goddess's dance. So that's how the world came to be. And the whole universe is still spiraling and spinning, whirling and twirling to this very day in the dance of life. Thank you all for listening. Now, yes, I believe it is a time for contemplation, compassion, and meditation.
Time to think about what Julio is telling us. We need to ring the bell, and we can just be in silence for 2 minutes. Now let us come back, and I will share the screen again for the offertory, and we will hear Bill Toole playing the piano. He'll be playing High Plains for us during the offertory. Okay. Thank you, Bill. I'll just run through the offertory notes. Our half pledge here this month is the Ulster Immigrant Defence Network, and they provide a network of safety for immigrants, regardless of status. The UIDN is committed to building a world of racial justice and inclusion and respect for diversity. So there are the ways to give. You can go to the website, or you may send your check payable to UU Catskills. And now we'll have the reading. Rob is not with us today, but this choice by Julio is Sacred Paths by Linda Susan Ulrich. The words are on your screen, and Julio, I'll let you read the words aloud.
Sure thing. Rivers and streams follow their own courses, but the water molecules are indistinguishable. No one would confuse a candle flame for lava, yet in each the fire dances. An invisible force both knocks down trees and holds birds aloft. The air remains indifferent to its uses. Diamond, desert, Denali, and dirt each tell their different stories, all with the earth as protagonists. Whatever our sacred paths, whatever our beliefs and practices, however we gather in community, we all honor the spirit of life, the spirit of compassion, the spirit of justice, the spirit of love. How many stars are in the sky? All of them. Blessed be.
Thank you, Julio. That's a great reading.
Thank you, Jay.
Now we'll have the homily by Julio, and I'll stop sharing screen.
Oh, but the screen looks better than me. I don't know. Put it back on. Well, thank you, everyone, for being here today. So, as I said earlier, for years, I was a practicing neo-pagan, more or less identifying as Wiccan. And this was after a lifetime of being Roman Catholic. I embraced a spiritual excellence in nature, what I used to call the Holy Spirit. As the Wiccan, I recognize as mystical energies. I felt at one with the universe in a new way. One imagery that invoked the sense of the sacred, such that I tattooed it, was of the four elements of fire, air, earth, and water. It was primordial. It's a simple concept. It tied into so many things and always gave me something to reflect on. Now, as Unitarian Universalists, we range from atheists to theists. We range from hyper-rational to the romantic. And sometimes we ourselves are all the above on the same day, right? That's our spirituality. Our mysticism and engagement with wonder will take infinite forms, will influence and sustain our justice-making activities. But there's something, or many things, that exist in our core. What is in your spiritual core? Or what is your guiding star in life? We find something which sparks in our being, ignites a fire engulfing us in its desire to burn brighter. And it does not matter why, it does not matter, even if it's rational to others, it makes sense to us. It is not something which goes gently into the night. And even as we try to make sense of it, maybe we are afraid to explain it to others, explain it to ourselves. I have spent nothing short of half my life basking in this imagery of fire, earth, air, and water. What is it that carries over for you throughout your life? What concept or concepts do you find yourself drawn back to as the foundation for your morals, your ethics, your outlook on the universe, your outlook on justice? And one thing I do is meditate. In my mental sacred space, there are a series of rooms with my different emotions. I go to each room to process what I'm feeling. 4 rooms with different aspects of these emotions. And that's because as a chaplain in training, there was a model that we had that all emotions come down to 4 basics: sad, mad, glad, and afraid. 4 emotions, 4 elements. Well, you can guess where my logic and my imagination went. kind of like that movie Inside Out. If you haven't seen it, a masterpiece. It's my emotions became avatars in my mental sacred space. Fire took on mad anger. Water took on sad. Air took on glad. And earth took on afraid. And I bring this up because I ultimately left that neo-pagan identity behind. But this the quadrants of elements stayed with me. It helped me get through so many issues. For example, I came back from my deployment in Iraq more jaded, more angry. Now, some of it was a righteous anger as the beginning of disillusionment with the patriotism that I no longer agreed with the government, with unjust systems of the world, all manner of things. Some of my anger was fear masquerading as anger because my masculine ego could only take so many powerful emotions. As per Western philosophy, I thought in terms of a mind-body dichotomy, compartmentalizing myself in so many ways. And I even tried to rid myself of emotions. Yet that had too much of an effect on my mental and emotional well-being, as I found it too difficult to be truly joyful. And I would cry only once every 2 years with an overwhelming sadness. And I would yell at my screen when I died in a video game. And I would never admit my fear. Too macho. Though what I did do, I journaled my loneliness. But that was the closest I would come to expressing my vulnerability and embracing my full humanity. And I continue to work to decolonize my mind and embrace the lessons from the anti-sexist, the anti-racist, the anti-poverty movements. And in many ways, it began with nature. And I know I'm not the only one who looks at nature. At times, I feel connected. At other times, I feel disconnected and estranged. Yet in all of that, it's necessary to celebrate the small things. It certainly helps me when I am feeling nihilistic or cynical at times. I celebrate my anger. It's not all the negative that my upbringing would have led me to believe. It is what led me, like Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., when he said, to paraphrase, that maladjustment to the world which caused me to reflect on everything and act on it. It's because of my anger I joined 2 veterans groups that were pro-peace and anti-war. I joined the Poor People's Campaign. I marched in the Women's March. I can now unequivocally affirm Black Lives Matter. And those are things that I never partook in my youth, nor while I was on active duty. I had such an apathy. No, listen, the world will get better on its own. Surely. That's what I thought anyway. I did not recognize all the effort it takes from everyone to make the world a better place. And yet, before I did all those things to transform me, I had found out about Unitarian Universalism, and I was able to be my spiritually eclectic self. I could be part of a community. I could sing in a choir. I could engage in issues of justice without the old worry of being damned to a hell to never feel God's grace, that old Roman Catholic fear. Ultimately, when I say things like the fire in my spirit, the earth in my bones, the air in my lungs, the water in my blood, it's all poetic imagery, as the body is mostly just water. You know, it's whoop-de-doo, right? And yet, it is an imagery which has fascinated me as a child, and I carry it with me now. It don't need to make sense to nobody else. It doesn't even need to make sense to me. But when you find something or have something which is core to your being, it will serve you in your journey. Maybe it'll be a compass as a guiding principle. The truths, I can can never say this word properly, the truths within each of you, I hope you feel comfortable sharing. My truth is convoluted as all can be, but to simply put it, without fire, earth, air, and water, I don't think I ever would have realized it. But who knows, maybe I would have. Who am I to say what could have happened? But my truth ultimately is that life requires balance. In ourselves, we need to experience our full humanity. In community, we need to be ourselves and congregate in harmony. In society, we must fight for equality, abundance, and peace. And without that balance, we fall into, say, disarray with mental health. Without that balance, we are alone without support from loved ones. Without that balance, we have war, poverty, and discrimination in the forms of racism, sexism, homophobia, just to name a few. And ultimately, the environment becomes poisoned. Without that concept of balance, I wouldn't strive for equality. I wouldn't strive to be a good husband. I wouldn't strive to be a non-violent activist. And I'm not sure where else I would have got it from. Maybe the zodiac. Yes, I am a Libra, and I love long walks on the beach. I admit it to this day. You can all take me for a long walk. Thank you so much. I hope it was funny too to me because I thought that was hilarious when I wrote it. But anyway, my desire to be a mystic, it's always shattered by an inability to just embrace wonder without being a cynic. And I look at the example of, and I apologize, I always say his name wrong. I don't speak French, but Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, Catholic priest. I'll give you the spelling because I recognize I probably butchered it, but he was a philosopher, a priest, a geologist. He believed and promoted evolution. Mind you, 1881 to 1955 is when he lived. Evolution as a theory, Charles Darwin, 15 years before his time, it was still brand new. He was a priest, and this is what he promoted. His example shows us that potential to be intellectual, emotive, present in the world. He saw the cosmos as moving from chaos, multiplicity, and evil to order, unity, perfection. And my theological basis is completely different. And yet, with my ideas of the beloved community, I'm not entirely different. It's one of those things that whatever you have that drives you, it makes you reflect on life, on injustice, on the cosmos, I support it. Because we are here to support each other with our different truths and diverse ways of understanding the world. So for me, it went from fire, earth, air, and water, and transformed into the beloved community of equality, abundance, and peace. So I ask you again, what is core to your spirituality and your guiding principles in life? Have you dared to imagine and reflect? Have you dared to be vulnerable and share with each other your truth or truths? Because together, we can change the world for the better, and we can support each other in our struggles and transform ourselves to realize our dreams. I thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Julio. I found that very thought-provoking, and it was a long time since I've heard Pierre Teilhard de Chardin mentioned, so that was really cool.
Well, thank you for pronouncing his name correctly. One thing, if I may,
Yes.
We're going to do the Spirit of Life as a hymn next. But one thing I did want to share is a critique that a few ministers of mine have. The song is meant to be in many ways a prayer. But a lot of times it promotes a sense of individualism. And so we sing the hymn as it is. Don't let me stop you. But one of the ministers I know suggested maybe thinking of it in terms of an us narrative. So, a lot of times it's a spirit of life, come for me, etc. Maybe think come for us, as more of a communal kind of aspect. Just something to think about. Sing with your heart. I love this song. It certainly helped me become a Unitarian Universalist. And I please, Jenny, if you would take it away. Thank you so much.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all stirrings of compassion. Blow in the
Now we'll have the closing words and benediction from Julio.
Who would know the driving force of your spirit? Your core may be wrapped in joy, sadness, anger, fear, or all the above. Maybe this force is your ego. Maybe it's the support from your friends and family. Maybe the driving force is the divine as interpreted in so many traditions, or maybe it's an imaginary friend. Would that we all could be blessed with connection. Would that we all could reflect on ultimate reality without struggle. Let our thoughts, hearts, actions, and relationships continue the betterment of humanity, the earth, and the universe, and our infinitely multifaceted oneness. We support each other in that journey. We come together to unravel the core within us and build the beloved community. May your truth be revealed as your truth will change. May you be guided on that whirlwind, the waves and the hills, and let us share our truths and teach each other, because together the truth will set us free from oppression. So please go forth on the path to liberation and let us continue this journey in love. Blessed be.
Thank you, Julio. Before we extinguish the chalice, I just want to say I really appreciate your words today, and I'm sure we will all be reflecting on them. Now join me as we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Catherine, we will go to you in just a minute so you can sing the benediction to us.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
Thank you, Catherine. That was great. So this is the end of our service, but you're invited to stay and you'll automatically be assigned to a breakout room. Visitors are welcome to meet congregation members in the room. It'll take a few minutes. Donna's going to set up the breakout room, and because I'm heading to the airport to fly back to New York. Thanks, everybody. Take care. See you next week.